Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host Khalid. Today is the 12th of June 2025. These are the stories that we'll try to decipher during the course of the show. We'll begin with Pakistan rejecting the recent remarks in Brussels by the Indian External Affairs Minister. And of course, we all know how the External Affairs Minister, their own governments and their media have been pinpointing fingers on Pakistan without any rhyme, reason or proof whatsoever. And this is what our Foreign Office has again rebutted. This is something that has been going on since quite some time. You'll be highlighting different aspects of the Indian machinations, the Indian maneuverings in the last few weeks and these recent statements that have come, as well as the Narendra Modi government that is under a lot of firepower or stress, let's put it that way, because of different issues that have been engulfing the government, whether it be its economy, whether it be its status, or whether it be its name and repute. This will be part of our first segment. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the Punjab Women's Inheritance Rights Enforcement Bill 2025, which was recently introduced in the Punjab Assembly. It has not yet been passed, but there are certain important factors regarding that or surrounding this bill that we wanted to highlight. So we'll be talking a little bit about that, because of course we highlight human rights, women's rights, children's rights as well in our show through different laws and regulations that are either in process or have been implemented in letter and principle. We'll then be talking about the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's visit to the United Arab Emirates. This is a one-day visit on which the Prime Minister has arrived in the UAE, where he was received by the National Security Advisor at the airport, and of course a wide range of bilateral, regional and national issues are going to be discussed between both the sides during this one-day visit. Finally, we'll be talking about Air India flight crash with 242 people on board that has unfortunately crashed near the Ahmedabad airport. All people are presumed to be dead. Some of the dead bodies have been taken out, others are being taken out. But of course the alarming thing is that the plane crashed in a civilian area, so we don't know exactly the number of casualties. That will be ascertained in the maybe in the hours or in the days to come. Nevertheless, a tragedy. And of course the different comments have come from all over, including from Pakistan, to condemn and of course to highlight and to observe with the Indian people this tragedy that has engulfed them. Let's begin with a segment that concerns India, that concerns the recent remarks by the Indian External Affairs Minister, Pakistan's rebuttal. We'll talk about India's growing war hysteria. We'll also talk about India's preparation for different missile testing that has been going on recently, and the slowdown of the Indian economy as a result of all of this, and the finger pointing that is going on from within the Indian government, the recent being the former National Security Advisor who has strongly criticized the Modi government's machinations. We've been joined by Dr. Zafar Nawaz Jaspal Sahab in the studios. He's an international and regional affairs expert. Thank you very much, Dr. Sahab, to have joined us. We'll also be joined by Shahid, Masroor, Kiani Sahab. He's a former ambassador online. Dr. Jaspal, how do you view the Indian External Affairs Minister Jaishankar's remarks in Brussels regarding Operation Sindoor as a continuation of Narendra Modi's war rhetoric? What does this reveal about India's regional intentions? Not the first time that they have revealed that. They have said it time and again that it's just on a pause, and this has been, they have been saying since the operation ended or was forced to end because of Pakistan's reaction, and then India going to the US for mediation. What's your take on these recent statements?
Thank you very much for the invitation. I personally was not expecting this kind of a childish remarks from a seasoned diplomat. He's not just a mayor, he was a former foreign secretary and trained in the diplomatic service, and he was using the word like Modi. I understand Prime Minister Modi's limitations and the rhetoric. He has the state elections and there he has to present, because in the last two at the last two occasions, he sold well that argument. In 2016, when they claimed that they did a surgical strike in September, and Pakistan stated that there was no strike. And in 2019, they did, and the Pakistan retaliation costed them. But again, their media and everything, time was on his side. And the same, this was the third repeated strategy which he did. And as a result, he faced miserable, you can say, defeat. Now what they are saying, it's a bruise the ego of the Indian leadership. And what he was saying in Brussels, agreed, because Modi said Operation Sindoor is not over. Let me take a account from there. Banerjee, the chief minister of Bangladesh, Bengal, said in India, Indian Bengal, what she said? She said that stop this Sindoor Holi. First, Sindoor is a, you can say, mark of respect. First, and go give a Sindoor to your first lady or first wife. So questions are there. Second, he's saying, wherever we need, we strike. Your Air Force was checkmated on 7th, daytime, 8th, 9th, the Air Force didn't rise. Which kind of the surgical strike he was talking? I think that Jaishankar is living in the same old times.
Or in a fool's paradise.
I cannot use this as an undiplomatic word, but I think you made it very clear. It's a very established fact all over the world today. And everyone has recognized victories always, you can say, or you can say war victories, they are more crystal clear and everyone in the world is understanding. Now when they go to Brussels, when they go here, whom they are now targeting, whom they are threatening? A power which they tried in a defensive mode, it destroyed their 6 Iqra fighter jets and 3 4.5 generation Rafale. They tried BrahMos, one go 26 sites were, you can say, raised. So which kind of the threats they are talking? They're failing to realize that if you see in the since the Clinton times, Indians did well at the foreign policy level, that in their external affairs policy was to de-hyphen Pakistan and hyphenate it with the China and presenting themselves as a counterweight to China. I think Jaishankar and Modi's policies, or his external affairs minister, his policies have overturned. Today Pakistan and India has been hyphened, China is out, de-hyphenated, and now India is limited within the South Asia. America's frustrations are multiplied because of the India so-called net security provided in the Indian Ocean region is now again limited to the South Asia. It's a very irony for the Americans, irony for the Indian strategic community, irony for the Western powers which were supportive to the Quad or NATO kind of a plus. The irony which I am mentioning here, America's coined term Indo-Pacific. Why? Because in the Asia-Pacific, in South Asia as a continent, landmark was not part of that. So when they talked about Indo-Pacific, South Asia was included. But after the, what you call it, 4-day war between India and Pakistan in the last month, India has been out of this region, Indo-Pacific. It has came within the South Asia, or it has been limited in the subcontinent. So which kind of this diplomat and what kind of the things he is talking, and he is threatening a nuclear power and especially a power which had recently conventionally you can say checkmated, or they went for their choice, and then in a retaliation Pakistan inflicted unacceptable damage. So I am failing to understand that are they mature, are they becoming 70s plus or cynical? What is this? Just see the Indian, you can say, discourse on a not only a paid Indian media. Read any Indian analyst, see any sane voice, Indian opposition, what they are talking. They are not buying this argument that the India has a capacity to hit Pakistan. It is only maybe Indian media. I mean that this media which is paid by who have make a big money and see within the BJP this is happening, and at the same time it is only Modi is saying and Modi cohorts are saying and the Jaishankar are saying. Apart from that, there is no one who is, you can say, ready to accept what they are articulating.
Buying their rhetoric basically, to be very frank. Exactly. Ambassador Masroor Kiani sahab, thank you very much to have joined us. India's claim of the right to strike anytime, anywhere against the so-called quote-unquote terrorists, isn't it not only just a dangerous violation of international law, but also a violation of Pakistan's sovereignty?
First of all, let us see, as the dust over this very brief conflict has settled down, it is now a battle of narratives, diplomacy, and where the truth will prevail. If you look what has happened during the right after the post, Pahalgam incident, and then the conflict, and later on, what has happened is that we were the first ones to say that we condemned the killing in the Pahalgam place. And then what happened was we asked for independent inquiry. We were the first one to say, okay, you are leveling unsubstantiated allegations, and let us have an inquiry. And if you go back in the few weeks back, you remember this, even the US State Department and other important countries have stated that independent inquiry is the right course of action. And what has happened now later on in the battle of narratives, nobody is willing to accept India's narrative that it was Pakistan who was involved in that incident. Now, if you look at the foreign minister of India, look at what our prime minister, our foreign minister, and our the DGISPR, and then the additional foreign secretary and spokesperson, Mr. Shafkat Ali Khan, has said, we had asked for a peaceful coexistence and said that this can be discussed, this can be shared, that across the table to sit down and discuss. We were the first ones to state that that we should not be considered as a weak country. We have the capacity to strike back, and did respond. Now, coming back to what he has stated, you cannot expect, I'm saying as a former diplomat, you do not expect a incumbent foreign minister to talk about instead of talking about peaceful coexistence, you talk about that we have the right to strike back. What is he trying to do? That is the reason that their mission abroad, the mission which has gone to share their narrative, has fallen into deaf ears. And our delegation headed by Mr. Bilawal Bhutto has got the right ears. People are listening. People are appreciating what our narrative is. So, in the battle of narratives, the truth always prevails. And unfortunately, India's narrative, nobody is willing to accept.
But that is for the first time, I think, that the world has now seen the Indian narrative and how it has miserably failed. We'll be back after a short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We are discussing India's frustration after its failure in the Operation Bunyan Marsoos and Marka-e-Haq. Dr. Jaspal, two questions that I'm going to mix into one. This Indian aggressive posturing, can it be highlighted as maybe an attempt to divert global attention from the real issues that are present within India, specifically that of an illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir? Have they been able to sideline this issue, or has in fact the opposite happened, that this issue has been highlighted because even now Donald Trump wants to mediate and find a solution to this issue? Secondly, India has repeatedly concocted this narrative, a misleading narrative of victimhood, when in fact all the evidence is suggesting that it has had an active role in sponsoring cross-border terrorism. Do you feel these are aspects that India has been trying to subdue, but in fact it has all come to the forefront? Whatever the External Affairs Minister might pinpoint in statements, the reality of the fact states otherwise?
I think that the Indians are failing to learn. They are repeating the strategies which did well. Situations were in their favor. But always when what we learn as a student of strategic studies, that don't repeat your strategy again and again. It has, and Indians all strategies have been exhausted. Today world is aware what is happening in India. When you talk about victimhood, everyone knows in northern India, southern India, western India, there are, you can say, movements. Agreed, world was accepting it in a bigger state, multi-ethnic cultural state. These kind of the things were accepted as a, you can say, reality. But since Prime Minister Modi came and Hindutva policy started and RSS started dominating, a Paracharik kind of a people started dominating the policy making. Now India has been divided at the communal level. For example, Muslims are unsafe, Christians are unsafe, then the other minorities are unsafe. So India has been bifurcated. So in that kind of a situation, when Indians start thinking that, oh, people will, world, how much you fool? Yes, West is very much interested in the Indians market. Americans are very much interested in India's military build-up so that it can buy their weapons, being a most favored defense partner and threshold ally. But at the same time, every strategy or everything has a limit. For example, I can give you an example. Even in 2019, Trump said that he can play a role in Kashmir solution, but he didn't repeat it again. But this time, repeatedly, he is telling the Indians that you have to now sit on the table and move ahead and get rid of it. So it means the most ally of the India is today America. We call it threshold ally. They are in Quad, they are in I2, U2, they are expecting in NATO plans, all these kind of things. They are saying this. Number one. And number two, what your second question was regarding?
My second question was regarding, India concocting this misleading statements of victimhood. You talked about victimhood. Also, we talked about, how the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir issue has been now, instead of being sidelined, put in front of
I think
the whole world to see. And
you are correct. Indian illegally occupied Kashmir is now flashpoint once again. It is, you can say, it's a talk of the town everywhere. Everyone knows that without, you can say, resolving it according to the United Nations Security Council resolutions, peace is impossible in South Asia. I think that it is first time in the nuclear history, two nuclear armed states had a 4-day war. And this war was, and what the recently Chairman Joint Chief Staff, while he was speaking at the Shangri-La dialogue in Singapore last week, what he said, he very correctly said, in every time where the conflict started in Indian illegally occupied Kashmir, then it escalate. But now this conflict is moving, you can escalating horizontally and vertically. And vertically it reached on the missiles, dual use missiles, like you can use it as a nuclear delivery. BrahMos is a nuclear capable fighter jets, dogfights, and horizontally from a disputed territory it reached to the heartland, mainland. When they attacked on the civilian targets in Bahawalpur and other parts of the Pakistan, in a retaliation, Pakistan did the same. Where will be the next step? I think Indians' entire narrative has been exposed. The victimhood, this narrative that centuries of the Hindus' humiliation is no more going to give them a vote. That's why Modi failed to get a simple majority in the 2024 general election, and that's why he's using again this kind of a false flag or sort of thing. And at the same time, international community realizes that they are becoming, and everyone knows, a compelling strategy against a nuclear armed state cannot work.
All right.
And even a small student, a young student, undergrad of the strategic studies knows this. A compelling strategy against a nuclear armed state cannot work.
Of course.
And India is repeatedly doing this. What is that? I think they have to come to and live in the reality.
They need to come to live in the reality, but unfortunately that does not seem to be the case. Thank you very much, Dr. Jaspal, to have joined us. Last question to you, Ambassador Kiani Saab, and this concerns a statement by Pakistan People's Party Senator Shahid Rehman, who terms India a belligerent power spinning out of control, and this is in response to Jai Shankar's remarks. She says, and I quote, Pakistan cannot be responsible for every attack in India, which is home to a dozen insurgencies. No lessons seem to have been learned from the encounter with Pakistan, and no evidence provided. What is the future course of action as far as, in your point of view, India is concerned?
Get the immaturity on part of the Indian government and leadership. In general, India's image in general and of Prime Minister Modi's in particular have been damaged because of the immaturity they have shown. As the dust had settled down, matured countries they acknowledge those who stood by them and those who brought the end to this conflict. We were the first ones to acknowledge President Trump's, having contributed to ending the conflict, and and till today, the Indian government's immaturity is reflected in not acknowledging what they did. But nevertheless, yes, belligerent is now that the dust has settled down. It should be India government's poster that yes, what has happened in the past is okay. We can sit across the table as neighbor because tyranny of geography requires that these neighbors should have a peaceful coexistence. But this is not coming to the understanding of the Indians. And you look at what the foreign minister has said now. So Ms. Shari Rahman is very right that who's going to tell them that belligerence does not work in the long term? What do they want to do? Look at this, that during this period where Gaza and Ukraine war was going on, the Kashmiri issue had gone into the background, but now it has come in the forefront because of their immaturity. Because without doing their homework, they started leveling unsubstantiated allegations. So what would the world should look at? Is India a rising power, a rising regional power, or an immature power whose leadership was also immature? So damage has been done in general to India's image and to Prime Minister Modi's image in particular. What was good? So this is something very unfortunate development.
Damage has been done, and it's unfortunate, but the damage has been done, and in fact the reality of India has been unearthed once and for all for the whole world to see. Thank you very much, Ambassador Shahid Masroor Kiani Saab, to have joined us and to have given us your eminent point of view as always. Let's come to our story, and that concerns the Punjab Women's Inheritance Rights Enforcement Bill 2025. Recently, the government of Punjab introduced this Women Inheritance Rights Implementation Bill 2025 in the Punjab's Provincial Assembly. It calls for a strict enforcement of Sharia-based inheritance rights of women, also enshrined in the Family Laws Ordinance of 1961. We all know how women in Pakistan are not being given the basic right in many parts of our country because of different reasons whatsoever, and that is why this law has been introduced in the Punjab Assembly. According to the Demographic and Health Survey 2017-18, 97% of women in Pakistan do not receive their rightful share in inheritance. Without financial independence, of course, most women then languish in poverty, specifically if they are by themselves, do not have husbands or families to support them, and miss out on education and economic opportunities in the bargain as well. In addition to the Punjab Assembly Bill, the Federal Shariat Court has also ruled that denying women their inheritance under any excuse is against the basic principles and injunctions of Islam. Now, the combined efforts of rights organizations, social activists, and even different businesses that have been working diligently for the rights, specifically inheritance rights of women. There have been awareness campaigns, launch of an inheritance calculator, empowered women to calculate the rightful share as per the Sharia law for the women to understand and to ascertain. And this is starting now slowly and steadily, not only to gain an understanding within the women of Pakistan, but also highlighting their due right as far as inheritance is concerned. Now, these efforts have led not only to significant legal victories, but also to a notable decline in the number of women who've been denied their inheritance rights. And this is, different surveys have said that the denial of the inheritance rights as far as women is concerned has dropped from 97% to 86%, which is significant. And of course, if it moves in the same vein, we'll have more and more reduction as far as this loss of right to inheritance is concerned. This is a difference, but I think more needs to be done on different levels, on different mechanisms, on different strata. We must also do our part by giving our daughters, our sisters, our mothers the right that they deserve as per the Sharia, as per the laws. And there are different laws that have highlighted that, whether it be the Sharia, whether it be the 1961 law. The fact is, it all ends in how you want to go about it and how you want to help the women in order to achieve their due inheritance rights. Their share, their power, their dignity is something that needs to be extremely important for any society, specifically when it comes to a society that is Islamic and society that is Pakistani. And in this way, they can also effectively contribute as far as the development of the country is concerned. Women have always been a very important part of our society, starting from Ma'am Fatma Jinnah to Benazir Bhutto, Shahid, to all the other women that continue to give a very important part of their personal and professional lives. We've got a chief minister in Punjab who is a woman. We've got other important leaders, senators who are women, of the caucus that has gone to the different parts of the world to highlight Pakistan's narrative and point of view, and to tell the truth as far as to what's happened post the Pahalgam false flag operations. There are women that are part of it, senators who are part of it, former foreign minister who are women who are part of all of this. And this is because there is a certain desire by all the strata, all the segments of the society within Pakistan to do the needful for Pakistan. So Pakistan needs to give back to the women as well, whether they belong to any segment of the society, specifically when it comes to their due rights as enshrined by the religion and as enshrined by the Constitution of Pakistan. And that is extremely important. We've been joined by Uzma Kardar, who's a PML-N leader, joins us all the way from Lahore. Thank you very much, Uzma Kardar, to have joined us. How does the introduction, Uzma Kardar, of the Women Inheritance Rights Implementation Bill, can you hear us, Uzma Kardar? I think there is an issue with the Uzma Kardar can't hear us. Nevertheless, we were talking about Women Inheritance Bill 2025. We were talking about the importance of this bill that has been introduced in the Punjab Assembly, and we were also highlighting different past bills and constitutions, starting from our Sharia law and of course going all the way to the 1961 bill that also talks about the basic rights of the women, and that those basic rights include the rights for inheritance for the women of Pakistan. And that becomes extremely important in the current 21st century, when women need to be given the rights that have been enshrined to them, and so that they can become a more productive part of our society. They can understand that they are being given their due rights, and they now need to be responsible enough to be an important part of the society, whether on a personal front or a professional front, whether it be for the society, whether it be for the nation, whether it be in a personal or in a professional capacity. Uzma Kardar, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect, perfect. This introduction of the Women's Inheritance Rights Implementation Bill 2025 in the Punjab Assembly, how does this reflect, in your point of view, Pakistan's evolving legal commitment to Islamic principles of gender justice?
Pakistan is a signatory to a lot of international treaties, and we have been trying our level best to improve the lives of the weaker segments of society in Pakistan. This you can see in 2012, for the first time, we had a complete Women Development Division. Before that, there was no ministry for women at all. And slowly and gradually, women who are the poorest of the poor in our country and extremely marginalized group, the government of Pakistan totally committed itself to improving the lives of the women. For that purpose, you also saw the institution of Pakistan Commission on the Status of Women, and then we had Punjab Commission on the Status of Women, and the same in all the other provinces. Now, these were also there to ensure gender equality and the monitoring of gender responsive actions across the board. Then the next office which came into being, this is all within the span of last 12 to 13 years. You saw the ombudsperson's office coming into existence at the national as well as the provincial levels. So I think Pakistan now has realized that what Quaid-e-Azam told us, at the time of partition, that you can never hope Pakistan to progress unless and until you take your women alongside by you, shoulder to shoulder. So this is the philosophy which we have to follow to empower 50% or more of the population of this country. And we are heading in that direction slowly and gradually. Like I told you, a lot of legislation has been done in Punjab. We've got more than 100 different laws for the protection of women and children alone in Punjab. But like you said, the main key challenge that we have is the implementation of those laws. And that is what we are focusing on right now.
All right, that is what you're focusing on right now. How important have been the public awareness campaigns that have been launched either by the Punjab government or by the private sector, to empower women to claim their rights?
You see, Omar, we live in a very, very patriarchal society. It's totally male dominated. And these are our societal norms. And in these norms, it's always the male gender who comes in the top priority cadre, and they get the maximum privileges and all kinds of cushioning in their lives. And now this is something which we have to address, and we can only make a difference in the lives of women, the weaker segment, by bringing them in key decision-making roles and by financially empowering them. Now, financially empowering them is essential. If we, there was this program started by the World Bank, Girls Learn, Women Earn. Now we have to educate our girls and enable them to fend for themselves, to earn for themselves. And the first thing is that making sure that they have their CNICs, they have their own bank accounts and access to their and complete access, independent access to what they earn through their own hard work. And this is something which is being, through a lot of jazz cash and different bank wallets. This thing is now, this dream is turning into reality because women, once they become financially empowered, they have more resources at their disposal to spend on themselves, to spend on their families, and basically improve the quality of life for themselves and their children. So it is very, very important for us to ensure this, to give them an enabling environment, to give them protection from harassment, to give them dignified working places. All this we need to look into, and especially when we are finalizing any kind of budgetary allocations, we have to make sure that there is gender equality. It is the budget should be gender sensitive, and if we are keeping any projects setting aside for the male gender, then equal opportunity has to be given to the females also. And I'm very happy to say that since our chief minister is now a woman, she is totally committed to this. Women and children are her red line, and she has given clear instructions that there has to be absolutely no discrimination when it comes to budgetary allocations for any development or any project or initiative.
All right. Uzma, Kardar, how can women politicians like yourself and so many others, we've got such an able and capable chief minister in Punjab as well, and religious scholars as well, contribute to bridge the gap between Islamic law and social practice regarding women's economic rights?
Well, there is a huge gap, absolutely a huge gap. The rights that Islam gave women 1400 years back, those rights unfortunately were usurped by mankind only. Uh, women were always considered the weaker sex, and especially the inheritance rights, which were given by divine intervention, never really got to the women because they were deprived of these rights by societal norms and pressures, especially tilted towards the male gender. How often have we come across cases? I think they run into millions where women are deprived of their inherited property, and they are forcibly made to sign, the property and give it in favor of their, brothers. That they're forced by their own parents to relinquish their rights. So this is really very, very unfortunate because what Islam, the rights that Islam gave us, we are totally going in the opposite direction. We are snatching those rights away from them, and we must ensure laws, and we must ensure proper implementation of those laws so that women get their rightful inheritance and all whatever has been ordained by Islam. Now, bridging this gap, the ulama have to play a very, very important role. But the Federal Sharia Court has also, I think, given some decisions which are pro-women, and they have also, endorsed Islamic injunctions. But our society is such. We feel that, women, they are the lowest of the low, and they're there to serve men. So therefore, they don't deserve to get any property. And what are they going to do with the property anyway? It's the male folk who have to take the property. Whereas this is not the case at all. A woman has every right to her property, and it's I think a great injustice if you take away these rights from her. After all, she needs to look after herself also, and
Kardar, the fact is that women have led by example, just like your chief minister in Punjab, just like so many other politicians like yourself and others in Pakistan who are, giving such a noble example for so many other women to follow. So I feel women as a gender, women as a whole in Pakistan need to be given their due rights so that they can be more responsible in whatever they do and go forth to take Pakistan to the next level in whichever capacity they can. Thank you very much, Uzma Kardar, to have joined us all the way from Lahore to discuss this very important women inheritance bill that has been presented in the Punjab Assembly. Last two stories very quickly. The first concerns our Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif Saab, who is on a one-day official visit to the United Arab Emirates. He's been accompanied by a high-level delegation, including Mr. Ishaq Dar, Field Marshal Sayyid Asim Munir Saab, Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi, Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Broadcasting, Atarullah Tar Saab, and Special Assistant Tariq Fatmi Saab. There are going to be high-level official meetings between both the sides, a wide range of bilateral, regional, global issues of mutual concern and interest are going to be discussed during these high-level interactions. Last story, a very sad story comes from India. An Air India flight with 242 people on board has crashed near the Ahmedabad airport just minutes after taking off. Now, this Boeing 7878 aircraft was carrying these passengers and crew members. At least 30 bodies have been recovered so far. More and more bodies are being recovered as we speak. This Air India tragedy, as per The Guardian in Ahmedabad, is the first time that a Boeing 787 Dreamliner has crashed. It included 169 Indians, 53 British, 7 Portuguese and a Canadian national. There have been different visuals that have emerged. You can see some of those visuals in the parallel window as well, of the thick black plume of smoke that is emanating from the crash site. Unfortunate incident. Our condolences to the families of those who have perished in this unfortunate incident, and of course the condolences have also come from the official quarters in Pakistan as well, including our former Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, who said he was saddened to hear of this incident that occurred. That brings us to the end of today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with story segments that pertain to us here in Pakistan. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.